So this next tutorial is based on the penetration part of HydrauliCAD, basically just to do dimension penetrations for site pours. So basically we use the penetration toolbar, which is on the insert part of the ribbon, and what we can do there is we put in whatever type of penetration is required, whether it's a slab seal, a fire collar, pipe sleeve, rainwater outlet, downpipe, blockout, or floor waste. So basically if we're using PVC, we can put in some fire collars. So we can say we've got one for our WC, obviously move it in the right spot for the, so it's the offset's right. So I'm just going to plonk these in for this purpose. We've got 40mm for our basin, and we can put in a 100mm for each floor waste, and 40mm for our bath, another 40mm for our basin, and we'll put a 50mm in for the sink. So what we do now is we can run the dimensions, so we can say, okay, well we want to put in some horizontal dimensions, so we can start with the one closest to the grid and start putting our horizontal dimensions in. So it automatically, sometimes you have to do a regen, but it should automatically pick the center, they line up, and then it should do a perpendicular, so you can pick the grid. So it's a matter of just going click click really, while still making it as readable as possible. So there's our horizontal dimensions, and now what we want to do is we want to do some vertical ones from this grid line. So we'll pick the vertical dimension, starting with the closest one, like so, and now this one, this one, this one. So it's just a matter of putting these dimensions in, picking the spots, and we can always come back and click on these and move them or put them in a better location later on. So I mean, now it's just a quick check, see that we've got dimensions going both ways on all the penetrations, so that looks good. And we can put in a legend if we want to, so that'll just tell us how many fire collars we've got there, or whatever type of penetrations, and the total counts. So the same thing with all the other types of penetrations. So we could put some downpipes in. So usually we don't need to really put too many dimensions on the downpipes because they're inside the columns. So we can put some downpipes on, and as we put them on, the tally starts tallying up on here as well. So we can put some downpipes, go through, put all the downpipes in, and then we can put the rainwater outlets in. So we could have 65 rainwater outlets on the balconies, and we could come back and just dimension those quite quickly. So we can say, okay, let's put some vertical ones and a horizontal. Down here. And we can still use the horizontal one if the lines are going to be, grid lines are going to be quite close. So you get the idea with that. If we just wanted to delete the penetrations, we can click on this button here, and it doesn't matter what we click, it's only going to delete penetrations. So we could click the whole drawing there and delete all the penetrations. So that's quite handy. The other commands are multiple dimensions. So if we want to do a multi-dimension, we can say, okay, let's do a multi-dimension for the horizontal. So we need to. It's quite tricky at first, but once you get the idea, it saves a lot of time. So we pick the objects, we pick the vertical grid line, and then the start point of where we want the penetrations to start, and then the direction. So there we go. Now we can do the vertical ones. So now we want to pick the horizontal grid line, which we can pick there, and the direction will be there. So that in itself can save a phenomenal amount of time, and it really has no bearing on how many penetrations there are and how close they are. It just becomes a bit of a readability issue. So we could do all those, get them on this grid line, and imagine doing that manually. So that can be a really time-saving tool if there's dimensions, a lot of dimensions, never that many, but that need to be created. So that's very handy. We can also turn the text off if we don't want to see the text, and turn it back on. There's also options. So if we go to the options, we can put in the bits of text that we want to come in when we insert these penetrations. We can tell it to insert auto text or not, and we can tell it the scale. So basically, if we're putting penetrations in and we're doing 1 to 10, penetration will stay the same, because you don't really want to scale the penetrations depending on the scale, because it's not realistic. But the text size and that should scale. So not normally 1 to 10, but 1 to 50 or 1 to 100. So if we check off auto text there, then it'll put the penetrations out without the text, and we'll put it back on, and it puts it back in. So that's a bit of a look at the penetration program. It's very handy, useful tool, and quite user friendly to use.